All right, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show is called Redemption Rehab. Today, we're talking about Week 5 of the NFL Waiver Wire report, and we've got great players for you, starting with this guy, Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals. He's a wide receiver. He had 7 catches for 76 yards and 2 TDs on 7 targets. We talked about this guy in our NFL draft preview show. We told you he was going to make this team better, and guess what? He did good. He did good for the last few weeks, and you need to go out and put him on your roster because I tell you what, this kid's a player. Who else do we like? It's going to be a hot commodity this week in the NFL waiver wire. How about this guy, Jaleel McLaughlin out there, running back in Denver. They had an injury to Javonte Williams, and Samadri Piron's not getting the job done. So they decided to go with this guy since these guys aren't producing. And Jaleel McLaughlin had 7 rushes for 72 yards. He had 3 receptions for 32 yards and a touchdown. Don't be surprised if this kid has a breakout game. Who else do we like? How about Cole Kmet of the Bears? Where's he been all year? He had 7 catches for 85 yards and 2 TDs against the Denver Broncos. I'll tell you right now, Cole Kmet's a good player. They finally started to get the ball to him, and he had a breakout game. He might be on your waiver wire. Go check it out. Who else do we like? Terrence Marshall Jr. of the Carolina Panthers. He's a third-year player out of LSU. He played down there with Joe Burrow and the rest of those guys. And I'll tell you what, he had 9 catches for 56 yards on 10 targets. You know, he plays behind people like Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, and the rookie, Jonathan Mingo. But I'll tell you what, Mingo's hurt, and DJ Chark gets hurt a lot, and so does Adam Thielen. I'll tell you what, don't be surprised if Terrence Marshall Jr. is the go-to man for Bryce Young during this season. Who else do we like down there? I'll tell you what, how about this wide receiver, Braxton Berrios of the Miami Dolphins. He used to play for the Jets. He had 6 receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets, and he ran the ball 1 time for 11 yards. Let me give you some other guys we really like that maybe are some sleepers that you didn't think about. How about Latavius Murray over there in Buffalo? You know, if James Cook were to go down, they have to choose between Latavius Murray and Damian Harris. Well, why wouldn't they go with Latavius Murray? He had 4 runs for 32 yards, and he caught 2 passes for 24 yards on 2 targets. If someone gets hurt over there, this kid's going to get a lot of playing time on a team that can score. He might be worth throwing on your bench. And if you need another running back, how about this guy? Ronnie Rivers out there at the Los Angeles Rams. Hey, man, yeah, it's a sleeper pick, but if Kyren Williams goes down, this is the next man up. Ronnie Rivers. He had 9 carries for 47 yards, caught 2 passes for 10 yards on 2 targets. And we've been talking about Tyjae Spears, the handcuff to Derrick Henry. Last week, he had a good week. Playing behind Derrick Henry, had 5 rushes for 40 yards, caught 3 passes for 18 yards. Let's face it, man, Derrick Henry gets hurt a lot, just like a lot of NFL players do. And once he does, it's Tyjae Spears you want to have on your bench. If you're looking for some tight ends, I'll tell you what, we got some tight ends you're going to like. Check and make sure Cole Kmet's not on your waiver wire. But I'll tell you what, why not get yourself some of this Jonnu Smith down there in Atlanta? He used to play for Tennessee, and he used to play for New England. Last week, he had 6 catches for 95 yards on 6 targets against the Jags overseas in London. And the week before, he had similar stats. And the week before that, he had similar stats. I know that they like to throw the ball, and everybody wants Kyle Pitts to be the guy in Atlanta, but the coach isn't throwing the ball to him. It'd be great if they were to trade Kyle Pitts because he's still a winner. They just can't get the ball to him, and it seems like they're throwing the ball to Jonnu Smith, who can block in the run game. Who else do we like at tight end? I mean, we've been talking about Jake Ferguson for weeks now. He finally had a decent game where he had 7 catches for 77 yards on 7 targets. You want a couple sleepers? Well, how about Tyler Conklin for the Jets? Conklin had 4 catches for 58 yards against the Kansas City Chiefs. And Pat Freiermuth went down. Doesn't look like he's going to play this week. The guys you want to look at to keep an eye on? How about Darnell Washington or Connor Haywood? Look, we talked about Darnell Washington on an NFL draft preview show for tight ends. I'll tell you what, if you ever get a chance, check those shows out on YouTube or on Facebook. We did them in April, and we do them every year. How about some of you guys that need a quarterback? Well, why not Baker Mayfield? He's on bye week this week, but last week he was 25 of 32 for 3 more touchdowns. When they come back, they play Detroit. No one's going to pick him up because he's on bye. Hell, he didn't even have to be cut by some teams who have bye weeks and need to fill that spot. Here's some other quarterbacks we like. How about Sam Howell versus Chicago on Thursday night? Last week against a tough Philly defense, he was 29 of 41 for 290 yards and 1 TD. He plays Thursday night against Chicago. And how about Josh Dobbs versus Cincinnati Bengals? Last week, he was against a tough 49er defense. He was 28 of 41 for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if you really need a deep sleeper, even I was thinking about not mentioning this guy, but how about Zach Wilson? The Jets played Denver. He ended up going 28 of 39 for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's a deep sleeper, but sometimes you just get stuck with no quarterbacks left on the waiver wire, and you have to put somebody in there. I think Zach Wilson might be able to help you out. And I'll tell you what, if you need a kicker this week, Jake Elliott's still out there on a lot of waiver wires. He's the kicker for Philadelphia. Once again, he was 4 for 4 with a long of 54 yards. They don't have a bye week till week 10. And if you need a defense, why not Washington versus Chicago? They play on Thursday night. And the next 2 games after they play Chicago, they play Atlanta and the New York Giants. So Washington may be a defense that might put up some points. They're pretty decent, even though they haven't shown it the last few weeks against tough teams. Okay, that's it. That's our weekly waiver wire report. I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.